The world woke up that morning believing it still understood war. Generals studied maps. Soldiers tightened their boots. Commanders calculated losses the same way humanity always had. In numbers, in divisions, in territory gained inch by inch. For centuries, war had followed rules that, while brutal, were familiar. Steel met steel. Firepower met resistance. Victory was earned slowly, painfully, and predictably. But on August 6, 1945, at exactly 8:15 in the morning, those rules vanished forever above the city of Hiroshima. In a single, blinding instant, the world crossed a line it could never uncross, and history itself fractured into a before and an after. For years before that moment, rumors had circulated quietly through military circles. Whispers of a weapon so powerful it could end the war instantly. A device beyond anything the world had ever seen. To many hardened soldiers, men who had survived Normandy, Iwo Jima, Stalingrad, and countless other hellscapes, the idea sounded absurd. Another psychological trick. Another exaggeration meant to weaken enemy morale. A single bomb destroying an entire city? Impossible. War simply didn't work that way. It never had. They were wrong. While millions of soldiers fought and died across Europe and the Pacific, the United States was building something unprecedented in complete secrecy. The Manhattan Project was not just a military program. It was a demonstration of American industrial might, scientific brilliance, and organizational power on a scale the world had never witnessed. Entire cities were built from nothing. Resources flowed across oceans. Scientists fleeing tyranny in Europe joined American engineers, factory workers, and military planners in a single, focused mission to turn theory into reality before any enemy could. Even many American soldiers had no idea what was being created in their own country. High-ranking officers knew only fragments. Some believed it was merely a larger conventional bomb. Others dismissed it entirely. The idea felt too close to science fiction, a fantasy born in novels rather than laboratories. Decades earlier, a writer named H.G. Wells had imagined atomic weapons in fiction, but imagination and reality were not supposed to meet. Until they did. When Nazi Germany collapsed, many Allied soldiers believed the war was nearly over. But in the Pacific, the reality was terrifyingly different. Japan fought with relentless determination. The Battle of Okinawa revealed the horrifying cost of a direct invasion. Massive casualties, entire civilian populations caught in the crossfire, and a level of resistance that shocked even veteran commanders. Every island came at an unbearable price. Every advance was paid for in blood. It was in this brutal context that soldiers heard about the so-called ultimate weapon. Most dismissed it as rumor. War breeds myths, and this felt like just another one. No one imagined that, deep in the deserts of New Mexico, humanity's understanding of destruction was already being rewritten. On July 16, 1945, the desert sky ignited. The Trinity test was more than the first nuclear explosion in history. It was the moment humanity unlocked a force that dwarfed all previous weapons combined. Scientists stood in stunned silence. Some wept openly. Others felt dread instead of triumph. Many instantly understood that the world had changed forever. Yet even then, even after witnessing a man-made sun rise from the ground, few could fully grasp what would happen when that power was unleashed on a living city. Weeks later, the weapon left the desert. When the Enola Gay took off carrying the bomb codenamed Little Boy, most of the planet remained unaware of what was about to unfold. In Hiroshima, life continued as normal. Children walked to school. Workers prepared for another day. Soldiers stood watch, unaware they were about to witness the dawn of a new era and its unimaginable cost. The explosion was instantaneous. Its consequences were eternal. Japanese soldiers, military leaders, and even Allied officials struggled to comprehend the first reports. A single bomb had destroyed most of a city. One bomb, one aircraft, entire neighborhoods erased. Many assumed the Americans had dropped multiple weapons. Others believed the reports were exaggerated. Some accused the United States of psychological warfare on a scale never before attempted. Veteran soldiers simply refused to believe it. Then came the photographs, the survivor accounts, the radiation sickness that appeared days and weeks later, invisible and unstoppable. Hospitals reduced to rubble, doctors dead, fires burning where streets once existed. There were no traditional battle lines, no defensive positions, just absolute annihilation. 3 days later, Nagasaki. That was when disbelief turned into understanding. For Japan's leadership, the realization was devastating. This weapon was not unique. It was not a trick. It was not a bluff. The United States possessed the industrial and scientific capacity to build more. How many more was unknown, and that uncertainty alone was enough to change everything. Soldiers who had sworn to fight to the death began to grasp a terrifying truth. Courage, honor, and sacrifice meant nothing against this power. There was no battlefield to defend, no enemy formation to engage. Nuclear fire erased resistance itself. War, as it had always been known, was over. For American soldiers, the realization carried a different weight. Many understood that this single weapon had accomplished what months or even years of invasion would have demanded, at the cost of countless American lives. It meant sons would return home. It meant families would not receive telegrams announcing death overseas. It meant the war could end decisively. The pride was not only in victory, but in what made that victory possible. A nation that had united science, industry, and military discipline in a way no other country had ever achieved. A nation that, when faced with the greatest conflict in human history, reshaped the future itself. The surrender of Japan confirmed what soldiers around the world were just beginning to accept. The age of conventional war had ended. A new era had begun, one defined by deterrence, fear, and the knowledge that humanity now held the power to destroy itself. The Cold War was born in that moment. Nuclear stockpiles grew. Treaties were signed. Generations lived under the shadow of a weapon that most soldiers once believed was imaginary. What had been dismissed as a bluff became the central reality of global politics. Yet for those who lived through it, soldiers on both sides, the memory remained deeply personal. The shock of realizing that the rumors were true. The silence that followed the understanding. The moment when the impossible became undeniable. History had changed forever. And it changed because the United States proved that imagination, when combined with determination, resources, and unity, could reshape the world, for better or worse, in a single blinding flash. For the soldiers who once laughed at the idea of a nuclear weapon, the truth was unforgettable. The bomb was real, and nothing would ever be the same again. History is not just something we study. It is something that defines who we are today. The events you've just witnessed reshaped the world, ended a global war, and marked the beginning of a new era for humanity. If you value real historical stories that change the course of civilization, make sure to support this channel. Subscribe now, leave a like, and share this video so these stories are never forgotten. New documentaries are coming, and the next chapter of history is just beginning.